Hi, everybody. I'm Candid. Frankie's Aaron William Freeland, and this is Leaf Talk. And we talk about everything Maple Leaf, and we'll even talk about the Maple Leafs of the NHL and all the other teams in Canada that are playing. It's been a tough year so far for the Maple Leafs and other Canadian teams. Edmonton has kind of cleaned up its act a little bit, which is, I think that's really good news that they've begun to clean up their act. Calgary's starting to look real good, but that very slow start, kind of drowns out the good that's going on right now. And we all know that a guy Nazem Kadri was available a little while ago. Is he still available? Is the team rebuilding? Are they just going to wait till they're out of the playoffs? So let's start with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we'll start with a great game for them on Saturday. Austin Matthews, a goal and 2 assists. His first 3-point game, I think they were saying, quite a while. Quite a while.
It has been significant. Matthews, before last Saturday's game against the Senators, had gone 4 games without a point. He had his first 3-point outing of the season, which strikes me as a little odd because last year, I think at this point and the year before that, he was much further ahead. But he set up William Nylander on the power play to open scoring. He assisted on Bobby McMahon's go-ahead goal early in the second period and scored on his next shift to take Toronto out to a 4-2 lead. The Senators managed to pull themselves to within a goal twice, but Nyes' second goal with 14:07 remaining stood up as the winner. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead after a power play goal by Matty Nyes, but Nick Cousins scored late in the first, and Wrigley Grieg tied everything up 18 seconds into the second period. But right after that, Toronto exploded for 3 goals from McMahon, Matthews, and Nick Robertson before the end of the second period. Drake Batherson and Tim Stützle scored in the opening 5:07 of the third to make it a 1-goal game. But Max Domi had himself a 3-assist night. Claude Giroux played his 1,300th career game and had 2 assists. And at the end of the day, the Maple Leafs outshot the visitors 33-31. Ullmark was actually pulled after the Matthews goal in favor of back-eye Levi Merrillainen. Joseph Wall was good for his 7th win in 12 starts. Nylander, unfortunately, left the game after his 3rd shift in the second period with an undisclosed injury. After missing only 1 game in the previous 4 years, he's been absent from 4 games so far this season. A couple were due to illness. After 210 AHL regular season games, former Edmonton Oilers first-round pick Xavier Bourgault made his NHL debut for the Senators. The Leafs played Detroit on Sunday, and the Senators are hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets today. Not sure if this is the time where Columbus actually manages to tie the Leafs again because the Leafs are inactive, but they're currently only 2 points in front of the Columbus Blue Jackets with 40 points.
We've got the Red Wings played the Leafs on Sunday. I'm just going to say that they were playing the top team in the Atlantic Division. They kept up with them.
They did. I know a lot of people like to throw out the terms should win games and must win games. I'd like to point out that at this point in the season, every game for the Maple Leafs is now a must-win game. There are no such things as should-win games. Based on where the Maple Leafs are currently in the standings, there are no teams that they should beat, realistically speaking. Second last in their division, sitting currently second last in the conference, right above the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets. And oddly enough, 22nd overall in the league, which I find interesting. Unless they're embarking on a major West Coast swings anytime soon, I don't think we're climbing out of the basement before the Olympic break. It's been that disheartening of a season. But hey, Urbanson managed to play the hero in overtime for them. It's one of those things where the Leafs got the first goal when Matty Nyes beat Cam Talbot through his 5-hole, but then Moritz Seider tied the score with just under a minute left. Then Nick Robertson got a goal, and like 15 seconds later, Mason Appleton tied the score. It's one of those situations where the Leafs can't help but shoot themselves in the foot, and it's getting frustrating as we go.
I think they're shooting themselves more than in the foot. I think they're firing on their own backside.
Well, I'm polite politic about it, but
you know what? Look, this team, the power play showed up there for a game, right? The power play showed up 2 for 2, then 2 for 3 in the game. It can make a difference. And a lot of people have discussed the fact that the Leaf power play woes are holding them back. Absolutely. Because if you don't have a power play, teams are going to take risks and chances against you, even though they haven't been taking a lot of penalties against the Leafs. That's logic speaking. If you can't score on the power play, you can't stay close to a team. And if you can't stay close to a team, it's harder to win. So they need the power play. The penalty killing's awesome. If their power play was a little bit better, not only would they have a few more goals, let's say a week or in 2 or 3 games, whatever, those goals would make a difference. They would make a difference, because a lot of the losses the Leafs have is their inability to create any pressure, normal pressure on the opposition. And when they're desperate, the kind of pressure they put on the opposition on the other team is the kind of pressure that if they escape, the other team gets some really good breaks. And that's been the challenge the Leafs have had. They just haven't played well. What are the odds for the Leafs making the playoffs?
Well, they're getting worse and worse and worse all the time. Currently, BetMGM has them listed at negative 250. The odds to make the playoffs sit at plus 200, meaning a $10 bet would return a $30 payout if successful. The fact that they still have a whole bunch of players out with injuries, including unspecified side effects from surgery, not to mention no set timeline for their supposed 1A to return, and an ailing captain who at this point might not even make the U.S. Olympic team after having captained the Four Nations Cup team the year before that, is certainly an ever-growing concern. And there doesn't seem to be much in the pipeline for them either. We lost or traded another prospect just recently. So I'm not 100% sure what this team is doing or where they're planning on heading, but I'm not even sure if at this point hiring Brad Treliving was the right move, because nothing seems to be working for them.
I don't agree with that. I don't blame Treliving on that. I think he kind of got screwed. He got and I'll defend Treliving by saying this. He was here for a year, and at the end of that first season, he had to make a decision on whether to trade Marner before the June deadline. He decided not to, or maybe he didn't know if he should, or maybe he was told not to by Shanahan. Either way, it was the last opportunity for them to get any decent asset. If one believes that Mitch Marner had no intention of signing in Toronto, which a lot of cursory evidence points to, then you can't blame him for losing that asset. And let's not kid ourselves. As negative as I can speak of Marner, he was, and we always said he was an advantage in the regular season. His problem was when the playoffs came, and he did score points. But the problem for him, Matthews and Nylander on and off. Like Nylander had more good playoff games than the two of them. I think we can say that at times when they really needed him to do something, like an overtime goal, a couple of key goals to win a game. Nylander did that a little bit, Marner less, Matthews more was invisible in the playoffs, especially at key times. And unfortunately, what we saw in the loss to Detroit is more of the same, which is Matthews is on the ice, the other team wins in overtime. We've seen that too many times. And at the end of the day, um, we know, looking back historically, that, they just aren't the kinds of players that are there when winning is about to happen or can happen. That's not a crime. It's not a crime for Matthews and Marner not to be effective when it matters in the playoffs. The same thing with Nylander. It's not a crime. What it is a damn shame that the organization didn't see it sooner and decide to go, you know what? These aren't the guys that are going to get us there. We've seen 2-3 years when the pressure's on, they fold like a cheap tent. Maybe it's time to get rid of them before their value drops, right? They could have got some really good stuff for Matthews and Marner. They could have picked guys that from the beginning, or with you key more on players with character who play a little tougher down the road. They decided not to do that, and that's too bad. That essentially for me is the reason why the Leafs didn't win a cup and probably won't for a while. Right now,
not anytime soon is basically what it really boils down to for me at this point.
That's it. It is what it is, man. I mean, I saw it coming, and I felt like it just didn't. When you're not that smart a hockey person, and I'm referring to me now, when you're not that smart a hockey person, you're just a fan or you're just a commentator. And you make comments based on not being the one there, with all the advantages of being directly involved. I've drawn a conclusion, Aaron. I wasn't right because I'm a smart hockey guy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that what happened is that I wasn't connected in any way to the team other than the situation I found myself thinking about. In other words, you draft a player, you sign them to a big contract. Now, how do you dump them? How do you get rid of them in your own mind? Then you sign a new contract. You say, well, because you're too close to the situation. There's a talent to being a really good GM, I think. The talent to being a really good GM is to be able to disconnect yourself from the situation. In other words, one of the ways that I find it to be true and proof to being true that you have to be able to disconnect yourself. How many times have we heard stories of a player that a GM drafted and he do everything he can not to trade him? He'll do everything he can to keep him on the ice. He'll do everything he can. How many times have we heard that? So I'm referring to that characteristic being a negative, and that's what makes a great GM, when they admit they made a mistake or they see the truth and don't allow past conditions color their glasses to not see the truth. That's my tirade.
No, I definitely hear you on that. There's sometimes a desire to stick with a certain player just because, hey, this is my guy. I chose him. I've got to back him all the way. And as an NHL GM, you cannot do that. You have to be able to divorce yourself from the situation, take a step back, compartmentalize, and do what's best for the team, regardless of how much you like whoever it is that you're currently looking at.
Oh, it's so true, Aaron. It's sad, but it's true. But the good news is, okay, there is no good news. I just thought maybe I'd throw out some. Can't find any right now. What has to happen is, sadly and truly, is Leaf fans are going to have to be patient and hope that this management team, if it survives, if it continues, somehow negotiates this team into a winning situation. How is that possible? The truth is, Matthews has to play up to his salary. But Aaron, we've seen all across the National Hockey League this year and every year, players who do not play up to the caliber that they're paid. That's something we've seen. Toronto's not immune to that. One of the greatest things they had before was that they had players who were really good before they signed the big contracts. Who wouldn't want to have? Remember the statements that you've heard people make. Who wouldn't want to have that problem the Leafs have, having too many guys to put under contract? Well, we just found something out over these past couple of years. You don't want to be Toronto in that situation.
No, you're going to end up getting taken to the cleaners every single time. It just feels like Toronto has an endless pit of money that they can just throw players into. And it's very obvious that it hasn't worked.
how about
It's very obvious that it continues to not work, and we're a decade into this experiment now.
tell me, Aaron, how about this? How about this? The Leafs right now are troubled. I got it. The Leafs right now are a victim of the organization and its makeup in the past, right? You know what I mean? Like we can put this all at Shanahan's feet, right? But the owners are constantly there. But here's the thing: ownership's changing this year. I don't know if you're aware of this, and I don't know if people out there are aware of this, but Maple Leaf ownership now is going to be strictly Rogers Cable. Rogers, what's their name?
Rogers Communications?
Rogers Communications, right. They're going to be the singular owner. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I'm trying to find hope for Toronto Maple Leaf fans. Here's what I'm going to say. Anybody heard of the Toronto Blue Jays? Do you know who owns that team? Do you know who runs that team?
Well, that would be Rogers Communications.
Same company, right? They seem to be doing okay with the Blue Jays.
Well, that's because they don't actually have a salary cap.
Oh, Aaron, I hate when you talk logic. Just stop throwing out logic, okay?
I mean, when you can spend as much money as you want to, then, results sort of turn into
But the reason they can spend money today, and the reason they're spending money today, is because of the less money they spent before and how successful they were. Now they figure, because this is what's going on with the Blue Jays and didn't happen with the Leafs, right? And I think you're right. It has to do with the cap. At the end of the day, it's management skills. It's how you create a team. It's how you build it. It's how you coach it. It's how you manage it. It's how you run it. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have proven with their ownership that they've made bad decisions. Look, this is, it's funny. Harold Ballard, MLSE, they had one thing in common, which irritated me. And you might remember this, Aaron, a while ago, when they decided to go with Dubas. Remember the conversations we had? Yeah, but Frank, you don't want Lou Lamoriello. He's old and doesn't know how to do anything, right? But you know what? I was against Dubas only for one reason. One reason alone. Only one. He had no experience. I just don't think an organization with the kind of money that MLSE had at that time, that they needed to stoop to some wishful thinking kind of, situation where they should get the best general manager they can find and install that person, right? That's what they should have done. I was against it from the beginning. I think you remember I was. And that was only for that reason, that he had no experience. And the reason I brought up Harold Ballard, because that's what Harold Ballard did. He brought in Nielsen. He brought in half the coaches that he brought in were guys that weren't head coaches because they were cheaper. I hope that's not why MLSE hired Dubas, because he was a cheaper GM, because there's one place they can spend money that they can't otherwise, and that's in management. They can spend all the money in the world in management. It's the players they can't spend money on. So that's why I think they sucked after that. And it was not a surprise to me that he would mismanage the team. He made mistakes. He didn't understand. Sadly, he didn't understand what it took to win the playoffs. And he was told to his face, he said, "How can you do it this way?" He says, "Well, we're going to do it differently." What the?
Yeah, no, I know you've got an axe to grind against Dubas, but he hasn't been here for a couple of years now. So I think it's safe to put that one to rest.
Well, Trey Living doesn't have draft picks.
Nope, he doesn't have draft picks. He doesn't have nearly as much rope as Dubas does, and I'm pretty sure he's going to end up hanging himself anyway. But we'll see where the team goes for the rest of the year, especially after the All-Star and the Olympic break. But honestly, blaming Dubas for everything at this point after Treliving's
no. Let me be clear about something, Aaron. I'm not blaming Dubas. Now you're being a little misleading. Now I said the team hired an inexperienced GM, which under Ballard happened as well, and that's the issue. It's not management, medium management. It's upper management. That's the issue. But like I said, Rogers now has total control. We'll see what they can do. They might. Trey Living might be gone. remember, the organization isn't owned by Rogers yet. I think this is the last year, and then they take full control or something. So we'll see what happens when they have full control, what they do. We'll see what happens. So definitely, though, better decisions have to be made from on high. That has to happen.
Definitely. Like you
Okay.
and I are in agreement on that.
That's it. Raptors, Scotty Barnes.
Had a monster night. Dude had a huge triple-double. Barnes continues to prove why he's amongst the NBA's best all-around players. He had 23 points, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists. It was a 141 to 127 overtime win over the Golden State Warriors. He ultimately tied Bismack Biyombo's 2016 record for the most rebounds in a game by a Raptor, and he became the first player in franchise history to notch a 2020-10 stat line. He also joins Nikola Jokic as the only player in the last 40 years to put up at least a 20-25-10. Now, one of those rebounds was a putback to tie the game at 122 with 23.6 seconds remaining, helping cap off a hot stretch for the Raptors as they erased the Warriors' double-digit fourth-quarter lead. The Warriors, man, I tell you, they just did not look like everything was quite clicking for them. And apparently Steph Curry is out for the next game, whether it's a maintenance day or an actual injury. The team hasn't been clear, but it's one of those Golden State Warriors, man. They need their guy. And right now he's not where he needs to be.
Absolutely. It's going to be tough. Mo Bamba, a New Yorker.
Yeah. They originally he was a 2018 lottery draft pick. Bamba's addition gives the Raptors some size up front. Jacob Poeltl is still recovering from a back injury, so sticking in Mo Bamba there at 7 feet is a good idea. 6'9" Mama Kalashvili also started at center in Poeltl's absence, but with Bamba, they have that additional few inches that they think they might need to give them an advantage.
Yeah, even have
Bamba's
Barnes
averaged
out there.
Bamba's also averaged 6.8 points, 5.4 rebounds, 1.3 blocks in 16 minutes in 364 NBA games. He's played for the Salt Lake City Stars. That's the G League affiliate of the Utah Jazz. He's been averaging about 16.5 points a game there. So, hopefully they'll be able to get them into the lineup sooner rather than later.
Key player that is coming back is Barrett, who for 5 weeks has been missed.
Yeah, he had 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in the game against Golden State. He played 24 minutes after missing 5 weeks of Toronto season with a sprained right knee. He said it felt good to play and help the team win. Before the game, he was averaging 19.4 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 3.8 assists per game. That was before he landed awkwardly after a dunk against the Nets on November 23rd. It was a non-contact injury, but it didn't get better as quickly as Barrett or the Raptors training staff expected. So we got a plasma injection to speed up his recovery and then sidelined for a bit. But I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, they clearly missed him. Let's talk about the Blue Jays. They signed a pirate catcher, whom many think is a standout.
Yeah. Now it's going to be hard to argue that anybody's going to be taking Alejandro Kirk's job anytime soon. But it's never too early to prepare for the future and add depth. They've signed 24-year-old catcher Giovanni Planchart to a minor league deal. Planchart elected free agent from the Pittsburgh Pirates organization in November. He hit 193, 307, and 293 with 3 home runs and 18 ribbies in 56 games in Greensboro last year. He's known for his aggressive playing style and exceptional defensive skills. He's got quick reflexes and a strong arm, making him a formidable presence behind the plate. Now, he's probably going to start with the Bisons, if not with the Dunedin Blue Jays, starting in the spring. But it would be a good opportunity to try to get some eyes on him.
Hey, we do know that it doesn't matter where you start; you could end up top in a hurry in 1 year. We've seen it happen.
Let Trey be the object lesson here for anybody looking to work their way through.
That's right. So when the Jays said you're going to Dunedin, you go, well, I know they're looking. They're watching. If I can be special, they'll bring me up. Let's talk about Canadian hockey teams in the National Hockey League. The Bolts beat the Habs.
Yeah, Kucherov scored twice. Gage Goncalves added 2 assists and had the deciding goal in the shootout. The Tampa Bay Lightning held off the Montreal Canadiens 5-4 on Sunday. Oliver Bjorkstrand had 2 assists for Tampa Bay. Nick Paul and Pontus Holmberg also scored for the Lightning, who have now won 4 straight. Jonas Johansson stopped 32 shots and both attempts in the shootout. On the opposite side of the ledger, Juraj Slafkovsky scored twice, including the game-tying goal with 3.8 seconds left, and added an assist as Montreal rallied from deficits of 3-0 and 4-1 in the third period, no less, to secure a point. Noah Dobson had a goal and an assist, and Ivan Demidov also scored for the Habs. Fowler's continued his really impressive start. He finished with 18 saves for Montreal, who played their first game coming out of the Christmas break.
Wow. Let's talk about the Sens.
So I don't know if you've been tracking the Spengler, but unfortunately Canada lost in the quarterfinals today. Ottawa Senators forward, former Ottawa Senators forward Philip Schlappick scored the winning goal as Sparta Prague eliminated Canada 5-1. Martin Zirkle scored the opening goal of the game early in the third period and added an empty netter. Christian Vesalainen had a second empty net goal before David Nemecek capped the scoring with 1 second remaining. Matty Pekka scored at 13:07 of the third to tie the game at 1-1 before the doors got literally blown off about a minute and a half to 2 minutes later. It was not the ending that they were hoping for. In other Senators news, Linus Ullmark will be taking a leave of absence from the team. Steve Staios announced today that Linus Ullmark will be taking a leave of absence for personal reasons. He has the full support of our organization during this time, said Staios. Out of respect to Linus, we will not be making any further comments. He played 27.5 minutes during Saturday night's loss to the Maple Leafs before being pulled after allowing 2 consecutive goals in the early stages of the second. He was actually the NHL's second star of the week 6 days ago for a stretch that included a 3-0-0 record, a 1.32 goals against average, and a 943 save percentage, but not exactly sure what happened. He did raise some eyebrows during training camp after saying that he acknowledged that some things needed to change, especially around Ottawa, but it was, rather jarring to see just because mainly everything seemed to be going well at that point.
I guess that's a matter of opinion, right?
Well, it's always subjective and in the eye of the beholder, right?
Let's talk about the Jets and how they lost to the Wild.
Yeah, Matt Boldy had 2 goals, including a winner, just 39 seconds into overtime. It didn't take long. Matt Zuccarello and Kirill Kaprizov also scored for Minnesota, and Quinn Hughes had himself 3 assists. Not sure what's in the water in Winnipeg, but it seems to be better than whatever's in the water in Vancouver because Hughes has been an entirely new player. Shifley and Kyle Connor had a goal and an assist each, and Josh Morrissey also scored.
Well, if you don't want to be somewhere, you don't play that well. That's why a lot of people are saying that's what Matthews is doing. He's playing himself off the Leaf roster. That's kind of the suggestion, but it is what it is. Let's talk about the Flames and the Oilers.
So Coleman got his 11th goal of the season with 7:29 to play. Yegor Sharangovich and Ryan Lomberg also scored for Calgary, while Dustin Wolf made 29 saves. Evan Bouchard and Connor McDavid scored for Edmonton. McDavid's goal extended his scoring streak to 12 games now with 13 goals and 19 assists, which has carried him into top spot in league scoring. My God, man. 13 goals and 19 assists. It's way too many points in just 12 games. But, they ended up on the wrong side of the score as Blake Coleman's late goal actually won it for them.
Absolutely wonderful, I got to tell you. It's just fantastic. A Canadian team can win. Oh, wait, there were 2 Canadian teams playing. Let's talk about the Canucks.
The Vancouver Canucks resumed their 25-26 season by losing 6-3 to the San Jose Sharks. Linus Karlsson got his 8th of the season. Marco Rossi scored his 1st. And Drew O'Connor potted his 9th, tying him with Brock Besser and Jake DeBrusk for 2nd on Vancouver in goals. Thatcher Demko started, stopping 31 of the 35 shots that he faced. Tonight was the first time Rossi, Zeb Boyum, and Liam Overin played in Vancouver since being acquired by the Canucks as part of the Quinn Hughes trade. Fans got to see firsthand what the future of their blue line is going to look like with Boyum on it. And he played a team high 22-24. And while he did have a few good looks, he was also on the receiving end of a negative play on the main advantage after the puck came off his stick and allowed the Sharks a shorthanded breakaway. Still a few things to clean up there, but all in all, things aren't necessarily looking as bad as they were for the Canucks.
Yeah, good for them. Aaron, hope you had a Merry Christmas. Didn't ask you.
I definitely did. How about you, Frank?
All right. Yeah, had a good Christmas. Looking forward to New Year's.
Excellent.
Yes, we're going to do our thing at the Legion. So we're going to have a dance in support of our veterans. Thanks for doing this, Aaron.
Appreciate it, Frank.
He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you being here, everyone. And the next time we see you, it'll be a new year. We hope it extends well past just a new year. Hopefully the Leafs will make a turnaround. We'll see. It's only a matter of time.